Welcome to the deep dive. You send us your sources, and we dig in to pull out the knowledge you need.
That's the idea.
So today, we're looking into the online world, the professional life of someone named גייר. You might know the handle גייר online.
Right, he pops up in a few key places.
We've got some documents, excerpts really, detailing his online activities, his background. And our mission, yours and ours, is to get a clear picture. Who is this person? What's he doing, especially in DevOps? And, well, why is it significant?
Exactly. It's about understanding the impact, right? How does someone actually build up that kind of presence, that kind of respect in the tech world, especially somewhere like DevOps that moves so fast?
Good question. Looking at his journey might give us some clues about, how knowledge gets shared and how expertise gets recognized today.
Definitely.
Okay, so first thing that jumps out is this consistent online name.
Yeah, that's pretty noticeable.
He seems to use variations of גייר quite deliberately.
That's right. It's גייר on GitHub, but then Code Wizard on Stack Overflow, and Get גייר on LinkedIn.
Code Wizard. Interesting choice.
It is, isn't it? But that consistency across platforms, even with variations, it helps build a recognizable, brand almost.
Like a professional signature online. Helps build trust, I guess.
Exactly. Signals a cohesive identity in the, sometimes chaotic online space.
So what's the headline? If you look at these profiles, what does he say he is?
Well, LinkedIn sums it up pretty clearly. He calls himself a DevOps expert and founder and CEO of a consulting firm called Code Wizard.
Ah, so Code Wizard wasn't just a handle. It became his company name.
Seems that way, and he lists his location as Israel.
Got it. Anything else stand out on LinkedIn?
Yeah, there's also past experience listed. He was a senior front-end developer at HP Software.
Oh, interesting. So not always DevOps then?
Apparently not. It suggests maybe a path, a journey through different software roles.
Which leads us to Stack Overflow. That's where Code Wizard really seems to shine, based on this info.
That's the Q&A site for developers, right?
The big one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's where developers go when they're stuck or need to understand something technical. And גייר, as Code Wizard, is clearly a major contributor there.
Major how? Like what kind of topics?
Primarily Git, GitHub, and a lot of DevOps tools and technologies. He's answering questions in that whole space.
And the sources mentioned a reputation score. It was huge.
Yeah, over 140,000 points. That's seriously high.
What does a number like that actually mean on Stack Overflow? Is it just points for participation?
It's much more than that. It means the community, other developers have consistently found his answers valuable and accurate. They've upvoted them. A score that high puts him in the top percentage of users globally.
Wow, okay.
It signifies real mastery, validated by peers. And honestly, it also suggests a huge time commitment to helping others. You don't get that score casually.
So he's not just firing off quick answers. The source material suggested his answers are quite detailed. That's what it indicates. Detailed, practical solutions for often complex problems. He seems to really break things down, offer actionable steps.
Useful stuff for developers hitting roadblocks.
Absolutely. And the technologies mentioned are core DevOps stuff, Git, obviously, GitHub, GitLab, but also Docker, Kubernetes, crucial for containerization and orchestration.
The big names in modern deployment.
Right. And Terraform for infrastructure as code, Jenkins for CI/CD, the whole toolkit, really.
Okay, so Stack Overflow is a big piece of the puzzle. What about GitHub? He uses גייר there. What's he doing?
On GitHub, it looks like he's more of a creator and maintainer. He has several public repositories.
With names like Kubernetes Labs, Terraform Labs.
Exactly. Docker Compose Labs, Jenkins Labs. The labs part is interesting, right?
Yeah, it sounds educational, like a place to experiment.
That's the impression. These repos seem packed with code examples, scripts, configuration files, all designed to help people learn and implement these DevOps tools.
So less about answering specific questions like on Stack Overflow and more about providing learning resources.
Seems like it. Think of them as, open source workshops you can follow along with, practical guides.
That sounds incredibly valuable, especially for tools like Kubernetes that can be, pretty intimidating to start with.
Definitely. It's like getting a curated learning path from someone who clearly knows their stuff.
Okay, let's swing back to LinkedIn for a second. We got the job title, the company. Anything else notable there?
Well, there's a pretty bold claim he makes.
Oh.
He mentions helping over 47 million developers via Stack Overflow.
47 million. How? How is that even counted? Views.
It likely includes views on his answers, yeah. But even so, it speaks volumes about the reach. the sheer visibility of his contributions. It highlights the scale of impact you can have sharing knowledge online.
That number is staggering. It really puts the influence into perspective.
It does, and there's another interesting community aspect mentioned.
What's that?
He manages a Facebook group about Git, specifically in Hebrew.
Ah, okay. So reaching out to his local community, too.
Exactly. It shows a commitment beyond just the global English-speaking developer world,
Yeah,
providing a space for discussion and learning in his native language.
that's a nice touch, contributing globally and locally. So if we pull all this together, Stack Overflow, GitHub, LinkedIn, the Facebook group, what's the core expertise we're seeing? What's he really an expert in?
It all points squarely at DevOps. He clearly has a deep, practical understanding of the key technologies we mentioned: Kubernetes, Terraform, Docker, Jenkins, Ansible too.
The tools of the trade.
Right. But also the underlying methodologies. DevOps is about streamlining how software gets built and deployed, improving that collaboration between, the dev teams and the ops teams.
Breaking down those traditional silos?
Precisely. And a huge part of that is automation.
Yeah.
Automating infrastructure setup. That's infrastructure as code, or IAC.
Which is where tools like Terraform come in.
Exactly. And managing cloud configurations efficiently. Plus, you need to be familiar with agile ways of working, which often go hand in hand with DevOps.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And underlying a lot of this is Git, right? His activity strongly suggests deep Git knowledge.
Absolutely fundamental. Git is the bedrock of version control for almost all modern software development. His high rep on Stack Overflow for Git questions, running that Hebrew Git group, it points to advanced skills.
Beyond just Git commit and Git push.
Oh, yeah. Things like complex branching strategies, merging different lines of work, resolving those inevitable code conflicts, skills every team needs, especially as they grow.
Anyone who's dealt with a nasty merge conflict appreciates that expertise. Okay, let's revisit that earlier role, senior front-end developer at HP Software. How does that fit in? Does it give him an edge in DevOps?
I think it probably does. Having that background means he understands the developer side of the equation firsthand. He's built user interfaces, worked with web tech. He knows the pain points in actually creating the software that then needs to be deployed.
So he's seen the whole life cycle, from code creation to getting it running.
Likely, yes. That perspective can be incredibly valuable in DevOps, which is all about bridging that gap. He'd understand, for instance, the specific challenges of deploying web applications, which is a huge use case for DevOps practices.
A more holistic view, maybe, not just the operation side.
Potentially, yeah. And then he takes all this experience and starts his own company, Code Wizard. What does that step tell you?
It suggests ambition, right? Wanting to apply that knowledge more broadly.
I think so. It points to an entrepreneurial spirit, definitely, and a desire to move beyond just answering questions or sharing code to actively helping organizations implement these practices, consulting, guiding companies.
Taking his expertise and scaling it through business. It all seems connected back to that initial knowledge sharing, though.
It really does. The community contributions, Stack Overflow, GitHub, they likely built the reputation and credibility that made founding a consultancy like Code Wizard possible. It's all intertwined.
Let's focus a bit more on those community contributions.
Right.
You mentioned Stack Overflow as a cornerstone. How exactly does that activity help the wider community?
Well, fundamentally, he's providing free, expert-level support. When developers are stuck on Git problems or complex Docker configurations, his answers offer solutions. But it's more than just fixes.
How so?
The sources suggest his answers are detailed, explaining the why behind the solution, not just the how. That acts like virtual mentorship, helping people actually learn and understand the concepts better.
So it solves immediate problems, but also builds deeper knowledge over time.
Exactly. And that high reputation score signifies trust. People know his answers are likely to be accurate and helpful. He's a trusted node in that huge knowledge network.
And the GitHub repositories, the labs, how do they fit into that community support picture?
They offer a different kind of value, practical, hands-on learning. It's one thing to read an explanation, quite another to pull down some code, run it, tweak it, and see how it works.
Learning by doing.
Precisely. He's giving people starter kits, examples, configurations for these powerful but sometimes complex tools. And because it's open source on GitHub,
Others can contribute back, improve them.
yes, it fosters that collaborative spirit. People can learn from his code, suggest improvements, fix bugs, maybe even build upon it for their own projects. It's a positive feedback loop for the whole community.
That classic open source model. Share, collaborate, improve.
Mm-hmm. And then there's that Hebrew Git Facebook group. We touched on it, but its significance shouldn't be overlooked
Why is that?
because it specifically addresses a potential barrier language. By creating a space for Israeli developers to discuss Git in Hebrew, he's making technical knowledge more accessible within that specific community. It fosters local connection and learning.
It's a great example of tailoring contributions.
Yeah.
And apparently, his knowledge sharing isn't just online. Lectures and workshops, too.
Yeah, the info mentioned past involvement delivering talks on things like HTML5 and CSS3.
Ah, back to the front-end connection.
Right. It shows this drive to teach and share isn't new. It perhaps just shifted focus over time towards DevOps and Git. But that history of presenting information in different formats, that's also a skill.
Definitely. And again, that number helping 47 million developers on Stack Overflow, it keeps coming up because it's just massive.
It really hammers home the scale of impact. He's become a central knowledge resource for countless developers globally, just through consistently providing high-quality answers online.
Okay, so let's try and trace that career path. How does someone go from, say, front-end development at HP to being this highly regarded DevOps guy with his own company? What's the likely story?
Well, you start with that foundation in software development, right? Working at HP Software, building things, learning the ropes of web tech and UI development, that's practical hands-on experience.
Building the base layer.
Exactly. Then, likely seeing the industry shift, the growing need for better automation, faster delivery cycles, he probably saw the writing on the wall for DevOps.
And decided to pivot or specialize.
Seems plausible. A conscious move to learn those tools, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and the methodologies. And his deep dive into Git likely happened alongside this, maybe through working on bigger, more complex projects that demanded better version control practices.
Learning by necessity, perhaps.
Could be. And then comes the community part. Actively answering questions on Stack Overflow, sharing code on GitHub. That wasn't just altruism, though I'm sure that was part of it. It was also likely how he deepened his own understanding.
Teaching is learning, right?
Absolutely. And crucially, it's how he built his reputation. Consistent, high-quality contributions led to that massive Stack Overflow score, led to people recognizing CodeWizard, or גייר, as a reliable source.
So, experience plus continuous learning plus community engagement, recognized expert.
That seems to be the formula here. And once you have that expertise and reputation, well, starting a consultancy like CodeWizard becomes a logical next step, leveraging that hard-won knowledge to help businesses directly.
It makes sense, turning expertise into a service. And his ongoing activity online suggests he's not just resting on his laurels.
No, definitely not. The fact he's still active on Stack Overflow and GitHub shows he's keeping up. Tech changes so fast, especially in DevOps, so that continuous engagement is vital to stay relevant and keep learning.
A commitment to staying sharp. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What are the key things you, the listener, should take away from this deep dive on גייר?
I think the main point is that he's clearly a very significant, influential figure, particularly in the DevOps and Git communities. His impact comes from this sustained, high-quality online activity.
Yeah, the Stack Overflow answers, those GitHub labs, the community building, it all adds up.
It really demonstrates a powerful commitment to sharing knowledge and genuinely helping other developers navigate these complex technologies.
And that journey from front-end dev to DevOps consultant highlights how careers can evolve, but also how different experiences can actually complement each other.
Absolutely. That diverse background probably gives him a richer perspective. He's a valuable asset because he understands multiple facets of software creation and delivery. His story really underscores the power of consistent contribution and community engagement online.
It shows how you can build real expertise and make a tangible impact in tech just by sharing what you know and helping others out.
Precisely.
So here's something to think about. What knowledge or skills do you have, maybe even niche ones, that you could start sharing? How could you begin to engage with the community online, even in a small way? It's worth considering the impact you could make. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.